Welcome to the Cannabis Compliance Podcast, an educational infocast series on important compliance topics in the cannabis industry from Adherence Compliance. Adherence Compliance is the #1 provider of automated cannabis compliance solutions and services for regulatory agencies supporting cannabis. We provide compliance inspection software, operations training, inspection services, and program support for the cannabis industry. Adherence Compliance supports 3 practice verticals. For our government services partners, Adherence provides regulatory code support, compliance inspection software, regulatory reporting, and program management. For our financial services practice, we provide in-depth training for banks and credit unions to establish compliant cannabis banking programs. For our enterprise services clients, Adherence provides licensed cannabis businesses and multi-jurisdiction operations with automated cannabis compliance programs and services. Now, over to our subject matter expert for today's Cannabis Compliance podcast topic.
Today's cannabis compliance topic is how to start a compliant cannabis business. Cannabis licensing can be quite complex and involved, so we've broken down cannabis licensing and application process into 3 areas of focus for today's review. The first is a business plan, the second is standard operating procedures or SOPs, and then we have finally application management and review. As we can see by the map, 30 plus states have medical cannabis sales, with 11 states with legal recreational cannabis sales. The market opportunity is massive and exceeds $25 billion annually, considering there are more than 30,000 cannabis licenses in the United States alone. The first major decision is the license type or types your business will include. For cannabis dispensaries or retailers, the focus is on selling cannabis and cannabis goods at a specific margin to make a profit. For distributors or transporters, primary operations involve transporting or distributing cannabis from one legal cannabis license to another. In California, there are more than 1,000 distribution licenses in the state alone. Cultivation centers will bring cannabis to market and process for the supply chain. Cannabis can move through to final sale as flower and shake, or be transferred to manufacturers and processors to create cannabis products. Manufacturers and processors create cannabis products from raw cannabis inputs for final sale or continued processing. Edibles, concentrate, topicals, and combined products are examples of products produced. It is important to note that cannabis manufacturers have some of the best profit margins in the cannabis industry. And finally, we have testing laboratories, which are the most expensive license type, bar none. As testing of cannabis continually evolves, this license type is the most critical in the cannabis supply chain. For business plans, critical areas that must be covered include products and services, competition, marketing plans, staffing plans, and your launch strategy. For our financial plan, it's critical to include startup costs, profit and loss statement, cash flow, balance sheet, business ratios, and also the funding plan for the business. Once the business and financial plans are completed, it's time to move on to the standard operating procedures. Standard operating procedures, or SOPs, are the operational Bibles of the cannabis business. As such, SOPs are a critical part of the cannabis license and the application process. It is important to optimize the business SOPs to support the application requirements and regulatory code at the state and/or local levels. SOPs will be used to support employee training, regulatory inspections, and overall operations for your cannabis facility. Where do most cannabis applications fail? It is extremely important to avoid the common areas and pitfalls, as we'll cover next. 2 of the most important areas are inventory and security, so be sure to expand these sections to include a bit more detail than what is minimally required. Best practices for cannabis application and licensing include keeping SOPs to a manageable length so that regulators can review as needed. To provide further recommendation on appropriate table of contents sections, we've provided a sample listing here for your perusal. SOPs are critical for every cannabis business. For application management and reviews, where should the new cannabis business owner start? The Project Management Institute has developed a 5-phase approach to project management. As the cannabis application process is indeed a project, it is important to manage it as such. For your application, you'll have the initiation phase, the planning phase, the execution phase, the application performance and monitoring phase, and the project closure phase. During the initiation phase, we want to make sure we download, review, and sequentially arrange application materials as per the projected schedule. During the planning phase, we want to develop a milestone-based application project plan and calendar with critical path tasks. And during the execution phase, we'll be completing the application project plan with legal and financial reviews and the final application submission itself. Post-application submission will be monitoring via the licensing authority website in preparation for license award. And during the project close phase, we'll be doing a recap, lessons learned, and also the launch plan for the business itself. As discussed earlier, it is important to avoid mistakes. We've listed 5 common mistakes, including trusting the wrong consultant or attorney to manage the process. Without routine status reviews, updates, and milestone checkpoints, your project will either fail, miss the application deadline, or both. Be very wary, as this is the cannabis industry. The most common errors are incomplete or missing details, along with a low estimate. The licensing agency would like to see the application and tax revenue associated with the regulatory program. It's important to be aggressive with your estimates, as smaller providers may be left out in scoring or the application process itself. What are best practices for cannabis business application licensing? As we discussed, for business plans, we want to make sure they're license specific with aggressive sales estimates. We want to reference the standard operating procedures to avoid any overlap, and also understand that this is a one-time document to satisfy the application requirements. For standard operating procedures, our focus is on inventory, security, quality and assurance, safety, the roles and responsibility, the operations and production itself. Our goal is to use as an internal training document with formal review and sign-off. For application management and reviews, make sure you review the entire packet from start to finish. Does it include all items as required? And our final 2 recommendations have to do with cost savings during the applications and licensing phase. We feel it's important to avoid attorney involvement until they are needed at midpoint and also the final review. Hiring an attorney to provide end-to-end application services can be extremely expensive, so keep these reviews to scheduled intervals and avoid overbilling. And our final recommendation is to hire a project manager, not necessarily a cannabis consultant, to manage your cannabis application. A project manager can assist with forecasting to ensure the project is on time and under budget. This is just the first part of the process, so save your money for opening the business and avoid common areas of overspending. Thank you for supporting today's cannabis compliance topic.
For the cannabis enterprise, Adherence offers 3 affordable compliance programs specifically designed for cannabis operators. Each program level includes a special discount rate on compliance services. Our entry-level program provides 1 user license to the Adherence Score app. The app is perfect for inspecting your cannabis license, researching regulations by license type, and viewing compliance reports. Our platform includes all regulatory cannabis code at the city, county, state, and federal level. With each user license comes 1 monthly cannabis compliance program review for you and your staff to discuss compliance issues and best practices. Our Chief Compliance Officer program provides up to 5 hours of cannabis compliance program support per month, including weekly meetings and a monthly review. CCO program subscribers obtain Adherence's bi-weekly state cannabis regulatory update for the latest in agency news. And finally, our Enterprise Compliance Officer program supports large multi-state, multi-country enterprises with more than 5 licensed locations. No matter what size your cannabis business is, Adherence has a compliance program to fit your needs and budget. Not sure where to start when it comes to cannabis compliance? Adherence provides a la carte compliance services for business owners and industry stakeholders, including hourly consultative support is priced at $250 per hour. Cannabis compliance and operations training is $750 per hour for the group rate. Adherence's industry-leading on-site cannabis compliance inspections are a 2-day automated service at $3,000 per operational license. Discounts are available for multi-licensed businesses and current clients. Our flagship standard operating procedure service is offered by license type to ensure you have all you need to start your business and update your operating procedures. Avoid using web-based SOP solutions as they may not meet regulatory requirements for on-site reviews and staff training. Adherence also provides cannabis inventory management services on a monthly basis to ensure your cannabis inventory systems are up to date, compliant, and ready for regulatory reviews. For those who are interested in starting a cannabis business, Adherence Compliance offers business application and license support services, which includes a business plan, standard operating procedure, and application project plan by license type. Whether you are a license owner, investor, bank, or regulatory agency, Adherence Compliance has affordable compliance programs and services for you and your organization. Start smart, start compliant. Contact Adherence Compliance via web, email, phone, or text message to get started today.